Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerditorium Live. I'm Tejas, with me is Jishnu, Dinkar and Ruchi. And tonight we're going to be talking about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, new Disney Plus series starring Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan as the titular characters. Lots has already happened, and it happens in a very small period of time, which is just 6 episodes. Unlike WandaVision, which had a little bit, more time to kind of dive into the characters. Was that a good decision? Was it bad? We'll find out tonight. Spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the series, don't watch this just yet. You can watch it a little later on. All right. So, hi guys, how are you doing?
Spectacularly. Why? How are you?
Are these supposed to be your Falcon goggles?
Yeah. I was looking for the red.
But there's nothing like them.
They're the exact same shape, at the least.
No, we can't see your. No, those are like, he's not wearing goggles. They're like,
They're
like
Oakleys, basically.
Yeah, those transparent. Basically like transparent Oakleys.
They're very Bono in the early
Exactly,
2000s.
yes.
Go back to your snowboards. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just a bad digital cosplay. All right, so guys, all of you have seen it. There's been a few days, so everyone I think has caught up. So we're gonna spoil this. Did we like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Jishnu.
Would recommend for sure, definitely.
Great.
It was a different change of pace as expected to WandaVision, and I think the pandemic did the MCU a favor by flipping things around and having WandaVision be the first one out of the gates, even though that wasn't the original plan as far as I'm aware, because it made a bigger entrance into the party for the streaming, types of shows that they're doing now with that medium of storytelling. This was a lot more on brand in that respect, and the sense of urgency was a lot less compared to WandaVision. That being said, I really, really enjoyed the subject matter that it spoke about. So it's not the kind of show that I would recommend to anybody unless they're already heavily invested in the MCU. It's not a very, I don't think it's the most watchable show in the world if that's the only thing you know.
Do you think that
about
limits
the
its
MCU.
audience though?
I think it does, but then again, the MCU doesn't need more audience. It's fine. So it's fine if you have a small percentage of the billions of people that are watching the MCU, you're fine. So I really enjoyed it with a lot of caveats. That said, for me personally, I had a blast the whole way through, knowing full well that there are tons of things that other people can really very easily apart from it.
Okay, interesting. Really Richie, do you agree? Did you enjoy the show as well? I know you were a big fan of WandaVision, and how it kind of broke the mold for the MCU, kind of did a different thing with it. Even when we discussed the episode, when we did the Spoilercast for WandaVision, you were all praised. Is it equivalent? Was it more, less? What do you think?
I didn't expect a lot from this show.
Okay.
I mean, I knew it'd be good. I mean, I'm sure they're not one to cut corners on quality, but that I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I was like, all right, after WandaVision, which is a completely different, you've literally never seen that format done especially in like the superhero genre before,
Right.
or any genre almost. And this just seemed like, all right, it's gonna be, what if it's like a spy thing again? It's, it's not gonna be that game changing. So it'll be fine, and I'll probably I'll like it, but I probably won't love it. But surprisingly, it was pretty good. It was also surprising just in the way that they actually did, like, this is Disney, right?
Right.
The fact that they dealt with a lot of these things that are, quite partisan, right? Like, it's clearly a lot of. Usually Disney is very, Michael Jordan in the 90s, like, oh, Republicans also buy sneakers, so I'm not going to say anything. But this is pretty direct and on the nose, which is like, oh, cool. So I guess we are, like, Disney is doing that now, even after, apparently it did donate to, like, the Trump campaign and everything. So this is very interesting. But having said that, the show, whatever threads it had, not all of them held up. Definitely, like, Sam's arc, definitely Bucky's arc. Not a huge fan of the main villain. It was alright, I guess. But then mostly it was about the dynamic that they had, which was cool. It was very sweet at times. So, yeah. I enjoyed it more than I expected to, which is great.
Dinkar, do you agree? This is the subject matter, like, I understand that it was kind of it was quite progressive, obviously talking about Isaiah Bradley, one of the main characters in the show, like, honestly one of the breakout characters from this show. Did you enjoy that kind of, like, that arc, and did it kind of do enough to kind of make the weaker parts of the show, like, just kind of breeze over those parts a little better, or was it enough?
I'm glad they talked about it. I think Disney's good now. They fixed everything, so we're good. So it's cool. Yeah, everything is forgiven Disney. I don't know, man. It's interesting that they brought it up, but I don't know. I didn't feel like they dealt with it in a solid way for the most part. Like, there were some parts which were really good, and Anthony Mackie in particular was spectacular. I think he, in fact, did a lot of the heavy lifting. The fact that, like, the way it's addressed outright in the script was often pretty, like, hand wavy, but he just brought, like, enough nuance that he sold whatever he was doing. So I thought that was pretty solid. And Isaiah Bradley, yes, spectacular. So it's cool that they talked about it. But the show overall, I don't know. I really liked some parts of it. And that's kind of it. What did you think?
I know. I actually agree. I think like you said, like, I think Anthony Mackie has. It's like it's hard to kind of show that kind of integrity, especially in this very, like, nihilist kind of humor world that we live in, to show that kind of integrity stuff. And I think especially episode 5, which was arguably my favorite episode, which was mostly just dialogue and fixing boats and things like that. And I think when Isaiah Bradley kind of tells him, he's like, they won't ever let a black man be Captain America, and then you kind of have to level with that, saying that, oh man, this entire show has just been, how do we convince the audience that Sam Wilson is the right man for the job? Like, that's the way I kind of looked at the show at the start. And because when Cap gave the shield to him in Endgame, it was just like, everyone was like, oh, why isn't Bucky Captain America? Why can't, Chris Evans, like, he's still young, why can't he still keep the role? So there are lots of questions. And I think this show does a decent enough job for me to kind of let Sam Wilson own that role. And I think in that regard, I think it did well. I do want to make a point about what Ruchi was talking about, which was the whole Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smasher kind of arc, apparently. And this is what I've been reading about, that, her whole villain arc was also based on this, like, biochemical weapon, which was an airborne disease that was going to be spread, and then they had to chop a lot of it off because COVID happened, and I think the show suffers for that, because there's this entire thing that happens at the end where or like throughout this series, Sam is desperately trying to convince Carly that this is not the way, and you think in the beginning it's okay, cool, he's just trying to be a good guy. But then later on, it's just like, why is he trying so hard to convince this person? You didn't try so hard to convince Zemo or like Ultron or any of these guys. Like why this person specifically? And I think we missed a lot of dialogue for some reason. And even at the end, spoilers, her demise and everything, it doesn't feel as heavy. It doesn't. The weight is missing. I didn't. Abhimanyu. The half the reason he's not on this podcast tonight is because every time the Flag Smashers used to come on screen, he's like, "I don't care about these guys. I don't care about these guys." And it's true. I think from a very
I'm with him,
just from the outside, it's just like, why should we? Yeah.
It seems
So
like they took a big chunk out of their entire like.
doesn't it seem
reason
that
for
way?
being,
Does that make sense?
Because yeah, they're just kind of introduced as like, well, this is what they want. Here's their logo, and off we go. So it doesn't quite make sense.
Also, how do
Their
you
entire-
smash a flag?
Like their reason for existing doesn't quite make sense to me. Honestly.
Does it not?
What
I
is their
mean,
deal?
so I'll explain it just very quickly. Again, this is another show that is dealing with the fallout of the blip, or at least the snap and the blip. And one of the things that happened with the snap is that everybody got very united, and like they kind of freed up the borders. All the refugees, suddenly the remaining refugees all found their homes. There's a big unification process that happened across the board because there was a common enemy. And the moment the blip happens, everybody kind of goes back to what they were. And because of that, there's this kind of sect now that is developing because they thought that we had an opportunity to change the world, and now it's gone back to normal. So we don't want that. Now that we've seen it, we don't want that anymore. We don't want what we have, or at least what we had before the snap, which is an interesting premise.
It's an interesting, like, thought.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's not quite. It's like you've explained it with far more nuance.
Exactly,
in like
right? No,
30
that's my
seconds
point.
than they
It
ever
doesn't
bothered to
feel
do.
like that's
Their
what the
whole
show
thing
is
is
about.
We don't want borders and we don't want to be kicked out of our homes. That's like you came here like a couple of years ago, and someone lived there for like 70 years before being snapped or whatever.
Yeah,
So why
exactly.
is it your home suddenly?
No.
Like, I know there's a problem here and it
Yeah.
needs to be
Yeah.
fixed. But you're behaving as though this is like your birthright. Just like, have a conversation.
I think, as usual, Zemo is the most sensible person in the room at all times. And it's like the minute he's introduced, he's like, "Oh yeah, those flag smashers, the way you describe them, she's a radicalist. This is horrible. This is just a bad idea." Sam has to, in order to earn the shoes of Captain America, he has to like say, "No, we'll hear them out. We'll always give everybody a chance." He's playing that role because he has to by
But he
definition
has
be
been that
Captain
guy,
America.
right? Like
And
he has been that guy.
But
When did all
Zemo
this
hit it
happen,
right.
even? This is
Zemo was
another
right. It's
question
like, listen,
I
forget
have.
all this. These people are
When
dumb.
did she become
Just
a-
get done
like-
with them.
Okay, so the snap happened. 5 years pass.
Yeah.
The blip happens. When did the
Within
show
6
take
months,
place? Yeah, so like
within 6 months,
like
exactly.
this
From 6 months, Carly
lady is
comes
a
back
fucking
and she's like, "I'm
overachiever,
pissed.
Dude. 6 months
I'm
and she
gonna
set up
steal
a global
some
terrorist
meds."
organization.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what seems. That's what
Pretty
seems
much.
to have happened, and it's
Took like
amplified.
Al Qaeda like decades, and she's like 6 months. I got this. Bro.
No, but that's because it's no wait. So the other part of the story, which is it's exacerbated
Al
by
Qaeda didn't have broadband internet. They had
also
landlines.
that,
They
they
didn't
didn't.
invent their own app. for
And
starters.
most importantly, Al Qaeda didn't have the super soldier serum. So
Not
I
the
think
branding, man. Like the logo. Come on. That kills
I
it.
didn't care for it. I didn't care for this organization from a brand perspective.
No. I
They
did.
thought it through. They're a startup terrorist organization.
You know the
They
first
went
red
digital
flag though
first.
was
They had a growth
the
strategy.
introduction of this group in episode 1, like 5 minutes into episode 1, is a guy looking at his phone and seeing like an AR image on the wall. And I was like,
Exactly.
"Yo, listen, if this is how you're sending
This is
out
a
messages-
digital.
They thought this
What
out,
would they
man.
call
They growth
that?
hacked it.
This is a digital like treasure
Yeah.
hunt or something, dude. That's it.
Yeah.
Literally the
Okay.
only interesting
They
thing.
went like, what if it's Uber for terrorists? And they nailed it.
No, literally like the only interesting thing about them was like, oh, the main person is a tiny girl
Kid.
who's also
Yes.
taken.
She's Enfys Nest from someone's tweet was like Star Wars and Marvel, like ruining this character and underusing her when she's actually such a
Yeah.
good actor.
Who was that mentor type figure of theirs who died? The
Oh, the
Mama
lady.
something?
with
Yeah.
M.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mama.
Mama.
Like a Mama Mabel type
yeah,
situation.
Mama Mabel situation.
Mama Donya.
Mama
Mama
Donya.
Donya.
Mama Donya.
Yeah.
And like again, that feels like something that just kind of like
I
got
bel-
axed
I-
because they keep talking
exactly.
about like after everything Mama Donya taught us, and I'm like, who is this?
Who does Mama Donya? Yeah, you're right. I agree. I think we lost a fair chunk of it, man. Because this, I was thinking about all the Marvel shows that are out, and they're not that many. But I would still, my favorite show I would still say is like Daredevil or over. I think WandaVision and Daredevil are probably the best ones. But like this show has no, it has to be better, right? There's a reason why they got all these characters onto Disney Plus, and like I'm surprised that it would make such glaring kind of scripting errors. That seems just like very off for Disney. Even if they don't do a great story, whatever they do in their story structuring is usually pretty solid. And that's what I was quite surprised until I read about this, and then it kind of made a little sense.
I'll say one thing that I think that they managed to pull off well, which I agree with you. Like in the grand scheme of things, this does not hold up terribly high in the rankings amongst all the other shows that they have. But that said, apart from the flaw with the Flag Smashers and the villain in general, what this show had to do, which WandaVision didn't, was assert stakes in a whole new character or characters. With WandaVision, your protagonist and your antagonist are basically the same person, right? And the whole tease of WandaVision is who's the antagonist? Oh, it's her all along. Even though Agatha is the one that's like poking at her. She's like, yeah, but it's Wanda who we know coming into it is so powerful. We just know how powerful, and we found out by the end, oh, it's so bad that she's moved the needle herself and didn't need another Thanos 2.0 to do that. In story, however, what Cap 1 for version 1.0 had was he had a Red Skull and like Nazis and all that to overcome. So he had a giant hurdle that he was already pretty obvious, and he just had to like beat them. And once you've beaten them, great, you now can rise to that mantle of Cap. In this one, you don't have anybody on the table already because the big bad is dead. So you got to come up with a whole new villain and give somebody who's already been given the shield once an opportunity to rise to the occasion and win it over again, like metaphorically speaking. So in that vein, I think the way in which they handled Isaiah Bradley's backstory and how he informed everything. Oh, did we just lose Tejas?
Yeah, we did, but I'm still here.
Yeah, we did.
Don't worry,
Okay.
don't worry.
Well, just the way, just the gravitas that he brought in with it, with the fact that like there was all this, it's essentially sabotage from the government itself and all that whatnot. Even though that's not the main antagonist, I thought that grounded the rise to Cap's shoes well enough. In that, like, hey, this is a metaphorical win. I didn't actually like punch any faces in. I didn't hit a Red Skull in the face, and I didn't, punch Nazis. But there were some forgettable villains. But the moral victory, shall we say, was, I think, perfectly fine. I'd say better than fine. I think it was very good because of Isaiah Bradley. If that B plot hadn't been there, this show would have crumbled, I think. Because the main A plot of the villain thing, you're right, was kind of a meh.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other half of the show, which is the Winter Soldier. Obviously, the Falcon's entire arc is super important because it really is about the Shield and the legacy of the Shield, as they tease in the trailers and stuff like that. But the Winter Soldier, who's supposed to be, he's the original Cap's Bucky. He's the sidekick. Mm-hmm. And in this show, I was hoping to see obviously him reconcile with his past and do a little bit do a little soul searching, and we get a little bit of that. Do you think it was enough? Were you satisfied with Bucky's arc and what role he had to play in this show? Ruchi?
It was definitely like he was still. The show is called like Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's even.
It's definitely like a supporting character. Like he didn't get enough, which is sad because he was really good in like.
He was, yeah.
He was.
He did get, which is like all the therapy stuff and when he has to go actually confront people that he's hurt and things like that. So but there wasn't enough of it. It wasn't.
Like, that's what I felt as well.
His arc didn't like go too high. It was kind of like
and it was mostly him. Like whenever initially the early on stages of the show was like whenever he was with Sam was just like, why did you give the shield away? Like that was just literally his entire thing. And then suddenly they're like best buddies because they find a common ground.
They were always best buddies. They were just lying to each other. I agree. I think I don't think there was enough because there was a good arc there, right? Like there's Sam's entire arc about finding out the heritage of that shield and how many people have suffered because of it, and him trying to make amends. And Bucky's is kind of similar. He's trying to make amends except for himself, and he's lived out these 100 years. And I don't think they did enough. I will say I did enjoy his arc. I mean, like the whole the stuff with the Dora Milaje and Wakanda, and them kind of like one of my. I remember we said this even in the podcast a long time ago. I was just like, man, it would be so awesome in Black Panther if like the Winter Soldiers like just hanging out over there, and so he can show up. And they showed a little bit of that over here, which was kind of cool. The White Wolf arc, that was nice. And he looks hot. He's got a haircut. He's got like a snazzy leather jacket. This is great. So anyway, I thought it was all right. I just didn't think they did enough.
I didn't think he got enough of like.
He didn't have enough to do.
Yeah, he didn't have enough to do.
He didn't get enough of the inner life stuff that even like Sam got, like when he goes back
Like-
home with his sister. There's this entire thing of him even.
Well,
like,
what does Bucky really have? I mean, that's the other question.
Look, I think
like-
what the show did, what the show did really well consistently through and through in every episode, because it wasn't the most exciting thing. Because I think they also kind of knew that people didn't care about the Flag Smashers that much. They did the talking scenes really, really well.
Yeah.
Like all Bucky needed, the best Bucky scenes were him sitting across from either his therapist or from Sam and getting pseudo-therapy from Sam. And then the final climax of their bromance is the two of them, dudes being bros, throwing a frisbee around and just having a good, man talk. And that was great. I want more of it. I was all over that. But here's the thing. When it came to the fighting bits, we don't really care who he's fighting, because even he says himself, like, hey, they're just a bunch of people, they're just bad guys. Falcon's like, no, let me be all Falcon-y and do like recon and stuff. Bucky's like, let's just punch them and get back to talking, because that's all I need to do. Falcon is like, I'm playing the cop here. He's actually like an Air Force dude or whatever the hell, right? So he needs to be a good company man. Bucky's like, I'm 100-year-old. I don't really have anything left to live for anymore. I'm just trying to like be a normal person, and you're not helping. So can we please punch these guys to get over that, so we can get back to talking, so I can deal with my issues. There wasn't enough talking for him, but all the talking that happened, solid.
I thought his arc could have been explored with Zemo a little bit more. I think Zemo's arc or not arc, Zemo's ultimate mission, which is to end all super soldiers, is just like, is the coolest like idea. The man will not rest until all super soldiers are dead. And the fact that Bucky exists means that Zemo has unfinished business. And I think as long as they can continue that like, I thought maybe that would have concluded in either one of them kind of. I mean, I guess they figured it out, because Wakanda also gets its like, they get their vindication.
They have an ace in the hole from WandaVision now, which is Agatha, right? As far as the needle movers are concerned. Because you have to like, again, take into consideration that unlike movies, these are shows that are meant to be like stopgaps in between shows. These are not technically essential viewing, right? Because people are already like announcing that he's Captain America. Like they're not making any effort to like keep it a secret or whatever. Like when Thanos snaps half the world, the internet goes dead for like a month saying like, please don't tell anybody what happens in this movie. This show comes out within half an hour, the whole world now knows he's Captain America, which is fine. It's not the biggest spoiler. But in WandaVision, you have Agatha, who is an ace in the hole with regard to, I'm a sorcerer who knows something you don't. Just wait until you need me again, and that's going to be a big deal. In this show, however, I don't see anything significant that's going to come back to them, other than obviously the power broker now doing whatever the hell she's doing, and Val, but so vague that it's only fun for complete blind speculation. At least with WandaVision, again, because the stakes are so obviously high and people understand what's going on there, I'm still more invested in, so what does the Sorcerer Supreme have with the Scarlet Witch in common? What are they going to do together? What are they going to fight about? Where does Agatha come in this? Where does Mordo come back into this? In this case, all of Cap's old villains are gone. His only old friend is Bucky, and he's still pretty much exactly where he was when we saw him at the end of Endgame. Not much has changed. So I'm curious, like, how this is going to impact things moving forward, other than he's Falcon. I mean,
there's one major character that we've not spoken about so far, which is the Captain America at the beginning of this show, who at the end becomes U.S. agent. What did you guys think of? I thought this guy was great.
He was very fun.
John Walker.
But again, I don't know what he's going to turn into, though. I mean, like, I don't know how much of a role he's going to have moving forward.
He's U.S. agent. He should just show up in Secret Invasion and a bunch of other things. Dinks, did you enjoy this full Captain America?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. I think he was especially useful to kind of draw the contrast between him and Falcon. The part where he kills a guy was obviously like the breaking point, but throughout, even when he was trying to be a good Captain America to the best of his ability, I think they managed to show why Sam was a better fit for Captain America, and why he didn't realize it, and why like pretty much nobody else could come to terms with it as quickly. It's similar to why Steve was the right choice for Captain America, because aside from being just good-hearted, which all of these guys were in theory at the start of the show, including like John Walker, like part of the reason Steve was the perfect pick, why the what's his name scientist like went for him also, was that he's good, but he's like, he knows struggle. He's weak, right? Like so when he gets power, he knows how to deal with power responsibly, and like he's not gonna, he doesn't expect it as his right to like punch people.
That's true. In fact, he gives away the shield, right? Which is essentially the same thing that,
exactly,
that's what a Cap would do, kind of.
And that's why Sam is also the right choice, right? They're just saying that like, okay, Sam might have been like physically like at his peak all his life, but he's still in a position of struggle just because of like his race and his position in society. So I think the show was trying to bring that out, which is why a character like John Walker, who's a good person but who doesn't know struggle in the same way, is like a good way of bringing out that aspect of him. Like, this is a guy who, when he's given Captain America, like, he does have that struggle, but he's not in the same position, and he can't treat this power with the same responsibility that Sam does. So, like, that the move Sam makes at the start of the show, where he gives away the shield, because he's like, I don't know if I've earned this yet. To John Walker, it's like, he's worked hard, so he's earned it. Sam has worked hard also, and he still doesn't feel like he earned it. And I thought that was like a great contrast to start with. A lot of these themes I thought were spectacularly like brought up at the start of the show. Like this contrast between Sam and John Walker. With Bucky, I thought like the arcs, they started kind of teasing with him trying to make amends, but not really making amends, and really just like using this as an excuse to settle scores, and him like trying to get into regular life were really interesting, but they didn't quite seal the deal on those.
They didn't,
kind of, took a left turn and then came back for like half a scene later. When those were the most interesting parts of the
I was so invested in his game of Battleship.
Yeah.
I was like, great, I want to see Bucky on more dates. But then nothing ever happened with that. Like, he flirted with Sam's sister for like a half second. I was like, great, let's see where this goes. And I don't know. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, a lot of things.
Yeah, maybe that's what Bucky needs. Maybe Bucky needs a romance
chunk that we're talking about again, but this seemed to me at the start of the show what they were going for. They were trying to explain why Sam was the right Captain America, and essentially this way, by showing how he was in a position of struggle and hence could take the mantle on responsibly, similar to Steve. How John Walker was like the opposite of that in many ways, and how Bucky was like trying to readjust to life, but he can't quite do it yet because he's still like he might not be the Winter Soldier, but he's still a guy who's like always looking for a fight, right? It's like that the scene where they come up to him with the metal arm and he's just like, where's the fight? And that's all this guy knows. So the interesting thing would have been to see him like step out of that, and it felt like the show started kind of teasing that and then went like, you know what, let's get into the next fight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Bucky needs a rom-com, dude. I think that's clear. You know what he needs?
To flip
Sebastian Stan
with Bruce
is actually in a rom-com of sorts that just came out. That is
Monday?
apparently very good. Monday, yes.
Yeah. No, you know what he needs? He needs like at the end of Dil Chahta Hai, when like Akshay Khanna is like walking across the field and then he looks and he sees another person and his life can continue. Yeah. That's what he needs.
He needs that.
Sorry, Ruchi. Sorry. Please continue.
No, just go watch Gossip.
Go watch Gossip Girl. Yeah. I came across this really funny article called, it's on this website called Black Nerd Problems, which is really, really good. And it's the headline is, it's about time we acknowledged that Sam Wilson can't fight. And the whole article is about how Sam has just across the entire course of the MCU and all the films he's been in, just proceeds to get his ass kicked in every single major fight. And he's like, the author's just like, the henchmen, I'm not talking about the henchmen, but he's like, I'm gonna chart it out for you. Round 1, Sam Wilson versus Crossbones in The Winter Soldier. Gets his ass kicked, and the only way he survives is because the Triskelion falls on Crossbones' head, and that's why he survives, so it's fine. Round 2, Sam Wilson versus Ant-Man in the movie Ant-Man. Ant-Man is like a noob, and he's like not even an event. This guy's a bona fide Avenger, still gets his ass kicked. And he's like so far as to say that in the next movie he doesn't even acknowledge it. He's like, it'll never happen again. Round 3, Sam versus the Winter Soldier. In the Winter Soldier, the Winter Soldier basically tears off his wings. And then Sam Wilson versus the Winter Soldier in Civil War. When he goes into the lockup, gets his ass kicked by him again. Round 4, Sam versus Spider-Man, gets his ass kicked. Round 5, Sam versus the Flag Smashers in the trailer, the trucks on top of them, gets his ass kicked. So basically, he's Captain
it's fight or
America.
flight, and Sam chose flight. So.
He needs to. I'm not saying he needs to know how to fight, but if he's gonna be Captain America, he really.
Look, man, he needed a training montage. Okay, so thank
Yeah,
God
a
they
pretty
spent
sick one,
25
dude. I
minutes.
got feels in that.
He just
I
needs to
didn't-
know how
I
to
thought it
deliver a
was
monster.
That's true.
Didn't some directorial flourishes in this show make you stop and go, what? Because plenty of times, like the
Wait, what?
training montage, does not feel very MCU like. It feels like something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine,
I'm
but
with you.
it's like
What? If I, Rocky? Very
There's-
Yeah,
Rocky.
why is this like a
There are-
80s movie? Sunday?
Dude, I was
There are,
fine
like,
with that, dude.
There are these
there are
slow
handfuls-
dissolves that I've never seen.
There are a couple of slow-mo epic walks which are just completely meaningless.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, it's a transition between on Madripoor before they meet what's her name, the lady who gets shot in the head by Agent 13.
Agent
when they're on the phone with
47.
Sam,
Oh, Agent
Like-
13. What's her name?
whatever her name is, the bald lady who's like, "Oh, I'll hook you up with whatever you need." The one she introduces them to, like that guy who's a scientist. Anyway, it's a simple little scene, and they go from bar to the back room, and for whatever reason, slow motion walking through
Yeah,
the hallway,
why?
and I was like, "Why is this
It's so
here?
weird. That
There's
entire
no
plot
reason for
sequence.
this." It's,
Love that.
Exactly.
There's another part where when Bucky goes to join Sam when he's fixing the boat in not in
Yeah.
the final episode, but
Yep.
an episode or two prior to that,
Mhm.
where Bucky wakes up and then he sees the kids playing, and I was like, cool, that's a nice scene. And then it's really dramatic music as he walks down the dock. And then
Yeah.
there's a slow fade,
You're right,
and
you're
he's
right.
just walked 10 feet ahead.
Yeah, I
And
remember
there's
that.
still dramatic music. Then he goes up to Sam and says, "Hey." That's what? What are you building up to?
I think they were filling time for all the stuff they cut out in the show.
Yeah, that sounds about right at this point.
Yeah. But I'm okay with watching
Because
Bucky
at the
in slow
top
motion.
of this episode, Tejas, you mentioned that this had less episodes in WandaVision, but they were all almost 50 minutes, if not
Is
more.
that why this show is only 6 episodes? Oh my
So
god.
it is 6 hours. They're both equal runtime, if I'm not mistaken. WandaVision might be less, in fact, because they had more shorter episodes.
Yeah, they had the first two were 25 minutes.
Yeah, so this show had a lot of time, but they did things like this as well.
Yeah, remember
So
this
it's
was
like-
supposed to be the first show of the
it was
entire
supposed to be the
series.
first show. Yeah,
But I
and I'm
think,
so
yeah,
glad
that's-
WandaVision was it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
WandaVision is perfect, in that regard, that they chose to.
But
start
see,
with
I think both shows kind of did meet the same end goal, which is it's just a debrief of your favorite characters, with not much happening outside of their immediate circumstance, except for the fact that
He's
with
Captain
WandaVision,
America now.
No. He was already Captain America before
That
the
is
show
true.
began. So nothing has
Yeah,
changed.
they started the show wait, he's not. No, he is.
And then he is, yeah.
In
the
WandaVision, at least they moved the needle enough that now okay, Wanda is so powerful.
Yeah,
but
that's
you
true.
Don't know, but you don't know if she's still as good as she used to be. Because now, I'm still holding on to hope of an Anakin Skywalker arc with her, and so you're kind of in that weird place with her, which is interesting, which I like. In this one, however, between John Walker, Val, and now the no more Flag Smashers. There isn't
That was
much
so
at stake.
funny.
I'm
Oh my
guessing they're
God.
still around, right? It's
No,
just
no, dude, it was so
they're
funny.
shut
The
down?
Flag Smashers was just
No,
one world, one
Zemo's
people,
butler.
trying to be all
Actually, yeah,
Hydra-like,
they did
Zemo's
and then
butler
Zemo's
was
butler
both.
takes care of it.
He smashed those flags. That's
Oh,
So-
God.
So yeah, basically where we moved from 6 weeks ago, not very far in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
It's just that he now has a fancier suit. Cap just gave him a shield. He's like, I want a shield and a suit. Okay, fine, we'll give you the suit.
Oh, he just got, it's his arc. He
Yes.
earned it. Yeah, instead of just being like, now you can have it.
What's your favorite part of the show, Ruchi? Your favorite moment?
My favorite moment is probably when John Walker is like, oh, it's the same, but in black. And he's so proud of his line delivery. But he's
Yeah.
so good, though.
Yeah, I'm very happy that he's
I hope
coming back.
he comes back in
Honestly,
a substantial way because he's really good. He was so good, and then in the end, just because he fully kills a person,
Yeah.
The entire thing. He could have been like so complex in his partner.
Wasn't it weird how they kind of knocked that out where there was his anger in the next episode and like him dealing with the fallout. And then the final episode, they're like, yeah, I mean, he's fine, whatever.
I mean,
So,
well,
like,
the
that's
Avengers movies have never been like DC where they're just like, oh man, we can't kill people. But DC, you know, when like Batman kills someone, you're just like, oh.
They have
But
killed
Iron
people.
Man just like has killed so many people. Like the Avengers
Destroyed.
don't give a shit about that. They just
Just
kill
the camera
people.
cuts away at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
He was really complex, like when they started out, right?
He was.
Also, like he's really, because there's all these things. Okay, he's become Captain America. They constantly, every single character that like crosses paths with him is like he's so decorated. He has 16,000 medals and everything. Like just they all just like list them, and apparently like that's enough for you to suddenly become Captain America. Like he's giving interviews and stuff. So yeah, and then his partner is like what gives him like the actual arc of his thing, right? Which is like, okay, so if you get power, does it just make you more of the same person? Doesn't it just make you more of the same person? That could have just been like the whole thing for everybody. And he goes out, he kills someone, and then towards the end, he's just like a glorified person with the serum, and he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna take revenge. And that's, he could have been so complex, and then he's just like he's.
Well, I think there's still scope for that. Like,
Maybe.
he's a kind of a grey-ish character now that he's working
like
for
they
the.
kind of flattened him out. It's possible they like stretch him out again.
Yeah.
But like the setup, I suppose, is still there. Like I think it's interesting that he's essentially an ordinary person in the sense that this is his job.
Yeah.
You know, he's not like I mean, I suppose it was Steve Rogers' job at some point, but that wasn't who he was. But
Not
this
really,
is a guy with a
but
wife
paid.
and like a friend, unlike Steve. Like he's like, I really like the fact that his wife is there with him.
Yeah,
she's
she's like a
he's
real.
just like a guy who got a new job who's like really excited, and his wife is like, yeah, you can do it, honey. And I'm like,
This is
it's a nice
great.
perspective.
Love that. Yeah, love that. Okay,
He reminds me
so,
a little bit
yeah.
of. Do you remember Scourge from Ragnarok? Remember his arc? Scourge in Ragnarok was just like a random guy who one of many Guardians who's like very honorable and has a military background and stuff. And he's also opportunistic, and he's not a complete idiot. So the minute he comes and kills the entire Thor's buddies, whatever their names, I forget. He's like, okay, cool, I don't want to die, so I guess I'll see what this woman is all about. And then finally, in just like the very last second, he's like, screw it, I guess I'll fight for the good side, even though I know I'm going to die. And that's kind of what John Walker's arc was, in that at the very end, he's like, okay, I guess I'll try to stop this car from falling over the ledge. But the difference here is that Scourge dies a horrible death because he's confronting Hela. In this case, it was the whole gang versus like just a couple of super soldiers, so they managed to pull it off. You leave John Walker now, it's just like, you're a dick. We saw you trying to redeem yourself.
And he
Well,
kind of did, I suppose.
I mean,
He'll be an anti-hero, man.
Not
He's
in
gonna-
our eyes, but like they're
so
showing him
things-
being friends with the
With
cowboys at the end and stuff.
They're not friends. I mean, I don't think they'll be like.
They're like they are both super soldiers.
It'll be
who
like Zemo, man,
respect
like-
Bucky
yeah, exactly.
bantered with him. I mean, like you banter, you're in, man.
They banded with
Zemo,
Zemo also, dude.
Exactly.
Wait,
They're like, there's
can I-
respect.
Can I change my favorite moment now?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah.
It's like when right after like Sam's obviously important monologue, like at the end,
Yeah.
like he's walking back and he just looks at him and John Walker's like, like he's so, I don't know what that look on his face is, but it's so funny. He's just like, all right, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, it's the guy who just got my job. Yeah, no.
Well,
Interesting show.
he'll be back. I'm excited.
Yeah. What do you guys think of just as one of the final characters that we haven't discussed yet? But Sharon Carter, and kind of a weird ending for her. Felt I just felt like the direction for her character was quite.
You mean the bit where she's walking out of the courtroom, fade, she's outside the courtroom.
Yep.
What's with the fades? Like they're going from one place to another. You can cut. It's fine. I get it.
Because she has, you know,
There are many
She has
steps.
plans. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a narrative fade.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's the power broker. It's revealed at the end, and she.
I love her first order of business is like, yeah, so we can sell.
We can sell all the shit.
Yeah.
I was just like, yo, and I get it that you are. You were spurned by your country after being of service to them and all of that stuff, but really, like, is this is this what you're
Yeah.
gonna do? Like that felt at that point I was just like Skrull, like Skrull, you're a Skrull, and that's it.
Though the internet has declared it can't be a Skrull because why would a Skrull wear a face maker mask? Which is valid, but then maybe
Why
she's
would
just
a
doubling down.
sorry? Why would a Skrull?
Why wouldn't she if she's trying to convince these guys that she's
No, because then being a Skrull, she can change into anybody.
change
She
her
doesn't need a
face
mask. She doesn't need to wear.
Yeah, but she's not supposed to reveal that she's a Skrull. Duh.
Exactly. It's like, did she double down? Is
No,
the
no, no.
Skrull so good at spelling?
I
She's
don't
like,
think.
"I'll wear
I don't know if
disguise
it's a
on top of
Skrull.
disguise."
But I
It's
just,
fucking
I'm not.
Scooby-Doo, man. It's literally just Scooby-Doo mask after mask.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I didn't feel like there was enough there for her to.
in theory, I suppose you
want
could
to.
say that we never really knew much about Sharon before.
I mean, she was always a double agent, so I get that.
Yeah. And you did meet her when she was lying to a Captain America. So
Yeah,
it's
but
not-
she's Peggy's
It's not
niece,
new
dude.
territory.
The
I
lineage
know,
is
but
strong
whatever,
with
man.
the
Whatever.
Force.
You don't choose your family. So,
Amen,
that's
brother.
I get that. So we haven't seen evidence that she's good, but we haven't really seen evidence that she's bad either. They just kind of went like, oh, by the way, she's the power broker. I didn't get her whole like.
Yeah, I didn't understand
Yeah.
what.
What's her plan exactly?
What's
What
the
does she
plan
do?
exactly? Yeah, I mean, apart
Yeah.
from selling all the government secrets to
Of course.
what
She
Madripoor?
might as well have
And-
called someone up and gone like, hey, listen, let's do something evil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was like first out
literally
of.
Dr.
I literally
Evil
just got
move.
pardoned. My first out of business is we in. Yeah,
So what does the power broker do? They,
in the comics, I
like,
don't know.
in this show, I mean,
Makes
specifically.
makes a lot of calls and a lot of texts.
It's just
Yeah,
like
so
a kingpin
she
of sorts, but
basically
for
enabled
Madripoor.
the Flag Smashers, then decided they betrayed her for some reason, even though they were kind of following what she asked them to do. And then she went, "Why
No,
don't you join me?"
I think they
was
went
like,
rogue, and that's why. Man, they also killed off Batroc the Leaper.
Sure.
So
And
sad.
she was pissed about that.
yeah, yeah.
Wait, did they kill him?
Who else
How
is
did he
gonna
die?
speak French in this show?
Didn't he
in
die
this-
in the end?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
Batroc
He
die
did. Yeah,
already?
Batroc
I
is
don't
dead.
remember.
They were in a
Okay.
like a.
He was
standoff type
leaping.
situation
He
with
was
three of
leaping
them.
so
He threw the chair of invincibility, and then I can't remember what happened to him.
he was leaping just fine.
We must talk
and then
about the
they
chair for a second.
killed
Super
him.
soldiers except
please-
for chairs.
Can we
That
please
chair
address
was
the
so good. Abhimanyu was also just like, what? Where
I
he
lost my
throws
tits with the
Captain
chair.
America's shield and he diffuses it with a high school chair. like a kursi, dude. It was damn
Richie, what is the
funny.
moment you hated the most? I should have led with that.
I don't know. I didn't hate
Did
it.
we enjoy
Yeah.
the speech at the end that he gives to these senators at the end? I just felt that was a bit heavy-handed and on the nose and just like too easy to
But
be.
you're not watching. I told my brother the same thing. We're not watching Watchmen.
Yeah, I know. But it was just like even for
can't
Marvel,
be-
it was too heavy-handed. Like where
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
why
it's
are you trying
Captain
to make
America.
Watchmen then is what I'm asking. Like, if this isn't Watchmen, don't try and make it like
Exactly.
Watchmen.
No, I'm saying like he's Captain America in the suit. It's the first black Captain America. Just saved some people. Just saved the very people who are doing this important legislation, and has an opportunity in front of all these people and all these cameras, and he just goes for it. So I give the boy marks, but like, just like it was just too.
It felt a little like
it was too
TED
much.
Talky.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very preachy. It
easy.
definitely went into the red. It went over, but I don't think it was any more egregious than when like the hundreds of times you see the superhero do the same thing in kind with regard to like the amount of like badassery and action packed whatever the hell he does in the climax of the movie. So it's kind of like they haven't done this often. This is very much a one-off move for Marvel. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is the show to do it, because so far all the buck that's happened in this kind of a situation has been solid. And yeah, it was long, but I thought, you know what, screw it. If he has to like convince people that he's Cap without having a serum and without being able to like lift a fucking mountain over his head, lay down the truth nice and hard in front of cameras, in front of the world to see, have it on tape. It's never going anywhere. It's not a private conversation in the back room. It's out in the open. So all those things, kind of like my entire takeaway for this whole show, with a bunch of caveats. I really liked it, but only because I'm as
In-world
deeply
reasoning,
invested in
I
it.
think that makes sense. Like why he gave the speech, sure, there's reason for him to talk. He's angry and he's got things to say and he's got questions to ask of the people who put him in this position.
Yeah.
But like, what was the speech?
It was
though?
just too broad.
was
It was
heavy-handed.
it was too
It
broad.
was very like a hey man, what if like
Yeah.
you're
Have you seen
wrong,
that?
huh?
Have you seen-
thought about that?
It was like an SNL thing, like what are you guys doing? It's like where he goes in front of the UN summit and says like, genocide? What's up with that?
It was almost as egregious as Wonder Woman to little kid. I want to be like you one day. You can't.
But that works
It's
better.
same sentiment.
That works better.
At least it's one line. Here he kind of gives like a whole speech.
No. I'm talking about Wonder Woman 83 when she gives this entire kind of moral
I'm talking
spiel.
about Justice League.
84.
84.
83,
Shit.
which movie is that?
Sorry, WWE 84.
That's
Where
when
she
we
does the
got-
entire
when
thing.
Wonder Woman won the World Cup.
The 80s, the 80s camp kind of vibe kind of lent itself to that speech. At least I know people didn't like it. I'm just gonna quickly go through some
But
comments.
It did feel like, sorry, just to finish
Sure.
the thought there. It felt like that speech at the end was kind of them shoehorning what the entire show should have been doing. Sure, like everything is said in that speech, and there was a lot of it, was the right stuff, but it just felt like a lot of
Summary. And to summarize, basically,
you
that
should have been
vibe.
talking about this throughout. So when he finally goes to like the man in charge, who we've seen like twice, and goes like, wait a second, what about these people? Have you thought about them? I was like, no, because you haven't mentioned them once up till now. And now you're suddenly like, hey, think about them for a second.
Yeah, it's very in this thesis I've tried to.
Yeah.
You know what they should have done? They should
But
just
like the
release.
abstract is coming at the end. You know what I mean?
They should have released the entire show like as is, and maybe they should later on and release the Falcon and the Winter Soldier cut. Quickly,
Another question.
Sorry.
Like, you know how, especially in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man and stuff, like a Spider-Man takes off his mask, or like a Tony is always like popping off the helmet so that when he gives like a big emotional speech, you can like connect with him. This boy's wearing these like giant ass red glasses throughout.
Okay.
Why? No, that's
His ears are like
So
popping out of a very
I've heard a lot of
uncomfortable
criticism
quality.
Am I the only
for
one
the
who
suit.
doesn't
all
like
right.
the suit?
He
So
just got his
the suit is an exact replica of it
Which
in the
is-
comics.
I
Now
think-
that
do
doesn't
you not
translate
think that
as
doing,
well
like, a
on
comic
screen.
Yeah, that's not an
vibe
excuse.
for all of the like Wanda's wearing her comics outfit.
Right.
Oprah's wearing his comics
Exactly.
outfit. Is
I-
everyone's
But see,
like,
but
is
look,
everyone
Wanda's
They
just
should have thrown in
Wanda's
some-
outfit,
they
I
should have
thought
thrown in
worked.
some
Wanda's
black in
outfit had
there,
enough
dude.
tweaks in there that I think it still works. This one was, I was like, neighbor. The minute he landed, also like he had this very awkward pose. Like he does a barrel roll coming out of the, he smashes through the window.
And he says,
lands,
"I'm
and
Captain
then-
America."
and
That was great.
No, he said Captain America like after he beats him up and walks away, like a throwaway line. But the minute he lands and you see him in the suit for the first time, right before he's about to throw down a punch, he has this awkward like stumble, which wasn't
it's a
like
little just weirdly.
was just awkward. not like
Guys,
funny awkward.
hey.
Yeah,
hey.
how
It was
easy
just
would it have
awkward.
been to just have like a thing where he like pops a button, the glasses go back, he
Yeah,
gives like an important
man, they've
speech.
done that for the Spidey suit and everything, and they couldn't do it for this.
Hating on his new costume. It's fine. Let him
I agree. I'm with Ruchi
Yeah.
here. I think it's fine.
No.
I think you guys are.
I
Being
think they could have
too-
done much better.
All right. Here goes.
there's a
Comments.
reason You always see Tony's face more than you see like when he
Because
talks.
RDJ is the money. Anthony Mackie only just became the money.
No, well, I think it's also
Well,
different.
it
You
was
can
money,
still
but
see
they-
Anthony Mackie's face even in costume. With RDJ, with the Iron Man helmet, you can't. Parag Kashyap says they did a really good job of humanizing John Walker and his friends and his family and all, but it would drastically change whenever he would be thrown in battle and we would hate him for it. He also says, love the line in the show where he's like, you have a metal arm, I can fly. What the hell does that add up to? That was
Right.
good. There was some
Yeah,
good,
great line.
some good zings in there. Ramanathan says, Bucky got a good backstory to his character that humanized the Winter Soldier a bit. Shivank says, if you had to choose Peter Parker dance from Spider-Man 3 or Zemo dance from this one, the Peter Parker dance is like is
Come on, not even a
untouchable.
question.
It's
Yeah.
untouchable. I'm sorry. I did enjoy the Zemo.
Zemo wishes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Parag says, Power Broker watches people. It's said on the wall in Madripur. And Kanishk
Creepy.
says, next episode on Oscars.
Oh, I mean, I'll sit down.
Probably-
I haven't seen
probably
it.
not.
I'll also
Yeah,
sit that out.
probably not.
Abhimanyu saw Nomadland, right? And like he's like, it won the Oscar, and he was just like, he was just like, nah, I didn't know that too. I don't know why.
She's the director of Eternal.
Yeah, she is. She
Yeah,
is.
so-
Yeah.
Amazing. Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao is gonna be directing the Eternals. It's gonna be like very interesting. That's like a first, maybe. I guess Ryan Cook. No, has anyone won an Oscar before for any of the directors? Taika, I guess, has been nominated. But yeah,
He won after the fact.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Word, he won like a screenplay or something, I think.
He won for JoJo, yeah.
Yeah.
He won something for JoJo, probably screenplay.
Interesting. So we have about a month before Loki,
Yeah.
premieres.
Why is it a month? I was just wondering.
Yeah.
WandaVision and this one are pretty close together.
They were, right? I think. I mean,
Wait,
first
when
I thought
is Widow
that
out in May? When is Widow out?
it's in July or June.
Never.
Oh no.
At this point.
June or July. One of them. They finalized it. So
Loki is June 11th.
See,
So I
when
think-
Black Widow comes out, that's when the virus will end. Because like that's like the only thing that's a remnant from.
Yeah,
Oh,
when
no,
Disney says,
we,
okay,
we,
fine,
we
can
said
now
that about
watch
the
movies
New
again.
Mutants, but
No. Black Widow's been like it was supposed to come out before Wonder
the
Woman.
New Mutants was supposed to come out 5 years ago. It only came out this year. Let me just remind everyone.
No, when Black Widow comes out, I mean, you don't get your vaccines.
All right. Parag says Bad
back.
Batch releases in May. That's right, May 4th. Bad Batch
Yeah.
comes out. That's exciting. What are we gonna talk about next week or this week? I don't know. I'm not sure. Next week probably. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. There's
There's a
Mortal
brand
Kombat
new
has
there's a brand
released.
new Mighty Ducks TV show that's
It's
I
great.
feel
There's a brand new
pretty
John
aces.
Stamos led
there's a
Disney
brand new John
Sports.
Stamos, David E. Kelly,
It's so good though.
dramedy.
It's so good.
So nice. I love it.
Just we gotta do
I'm all over
we
it.
gotta do
All
a
over it.
double whammy. at-
Ruchi, are you watching The Big Shot? You gotta watch The Big Shot.
The Big
She
Shot.
won't watch the
Yeah.
Big Shot,
Yeah.
dude.
Not to be confused with The Big Short.
Big Short, exactly. I was like, wait, am I
No.
No, is this not called? Is it called The? Is this just called Big Shot?
Or just whatever big. No,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the
The Mighty Ducks, the Game Changers.
John Stamos playing hard and fast basketball coach who got fired for throwing a chair at people and is now
It's all about
forced to
throwing
teach
chairs
high
at
school-
Disney.
and now teaching high school basketball girls, and he can't handle it because there's too much estrogen.
But
It's
like,
great.
you need to at some point do a binge watch or speed watch of the show called You because he's in that, and I would really love.
Is that
With
is
Penn
that what plays
Badgley,
a doctor?
the made-up name.
It's about a stalker, yeah.
Oh, stock. Okay, that's not
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
thought. Okay.
Kanishk
He's
says
in
thoughts
that.
on another
He's
round.
very skeevy.
Thoughts on
Yeah.
another. Have you guys anyone seen another round with?
I really want to see
Yeah,
it.
we have it. We've just been like waiting on it, but we'll probably watch it this week.
Wait, what is
Uh,
another?
I have thoughts on the fact that immediately after it won the Oscar, they announced that they're going to be remaking it in English. Like, don't do it. Don't remake it in English.
Let's see.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, why?
They
Just
should.
watch this movie.
They should. Anyway, I think let's see how the movie is, and we'll probably do a review. Mortal Kombat came out. I don't think it deserves a review, but it's out, and a couple of other things are out as well. So maybe we can find some stuff to talk about in the following weeks, till Loki at least. And yeah, I think that's it. Cool. Thank you guys for joining me. If you guys enjoyed any of these episodes, you can find the previous spoiler cast that we've done for WandaVision and Zack Snyder's Justice League and a bunch of other films on this channel. We're here every week, not at a very consistent time, but we try and find time and we do it when we can. So otherwise, join our Discord and follow us on Instagram and on Twitter and all of that stuff. And we'll keep you posted. All right. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.